everybody, it's Broken Barbie TV, and this is your host Gypsy. Today I wanted to share a special treat with you guys. Somebody asked me to do a tutorial or a demo or something like that of how I do my baby hairs on my dolls. So if you don't know what baby hairs are, this is it right here. See these little strands of hair that's painted around the edges of the head? Okay, so that's basically what baby hairs are, and I'm not sure about everybody else, but for ethnic women, it's kind of a trend to style their hair in such a way that you can see their baby hairs around the edges of their head, like around their hairline. So within the adult doll collecting community, we do see a lot of collectors who like to customize their dolls, drawing the baby hairs onto their Barbies, and lately some Barbies have been coming out with the baby hair already drawn on. Mattel is already drawing them that way. So I have two methods. One method requires water and a very thin paintbrush. The way that I thinned out my paintbrush was I got a paintbrush that already had a little bit of bristles on it, like this one, and then I just took scissors and clipped off most of the bristles around the outside until only the middle was left, and there's a few strands there. So that's basically how I got mine really thin like this. So you need something like that so you can get really accurate lines. And or my second method is to use these pencils. The ones I'm using are by Derwent. It's called Inktense, and they come in a bunch of different colors. So I'm using my dark brown tones for baby hair. And you just want to make sure that yours matches the color that your doll's hair is. If you don't have these, then you can always use acrylic paints, which you can find very cheap at Walmart for I don't know, under $1 per bottle, and you can use those instead. So I'm going to show you my first method, which is with the paintbrush. This one is a little bit more, it takes a little bit more skill, and you have to be you've got to be pretty accurate, but I'm going to show you the harder way first for those of you who are perfectionists and you just got to get it really, really extra professional. So I just take a color that I think will match a tone in my doll's hair. My dolls have darker skin tones, so if I use a light color, it may not show up that well on the doll, so I'm gonna go with the darker color. So instead of something that matches this blonde, I'm gonna go with something that matches closer to the brown. In fact, a good way to tell what color to use is by looking at the eyebrows of the doll, and whatever color the eyebrows are, normally you can get away with doing the baby hairs that same or similar color. This one's called Bark. What I do is I wet my paintbrush, and then I just dip the paintbrush onto the pencil while it's wet, and see how I'm getting all this color off of the paintbrush now. So that's all I want. I just want to make sure that some of that ink will come off onto my paintbrush. I'm going to basically make little backwards C's going up the doll's hair. So we just do something like that, and you're trying to do the lines as fine as possible. They're going to overlap with each other. Okay. And you can just go over them as much as you want. It can be as sparse and thin as you want, or as close together as you want. And then I'm going to get a little more paint on my brush and keep going from the other side. Just doing this, how I'm doing very loose C's. And the idea is for it to seem as if the hair is coming out of the roots of the hair, up in the edges, coming down into the forehead. Like the way that the hair would grow and the way you would have brushed the hairs down. You don't want the lines to be super straight, you want it to have some curvature to it, because most people's baby hairs are you know, they're not like bone straight lines on their actual hair. If you want to get like reference photos from the internet, just Google hairstyles with baby hair and then go into your Google Images and you'll be able to see pictures of how real girls wear their baby hair and the way that it looks. Sometimes I try to make it look like the doll like purposefully styled her baby hair that way, but a lot of times it's very random when I do it because I do kind of want it to look natural, like you have baby hair but you didn't necessarily style it. So either way it looks good, but that's just the look I end up going for, just very random strokes. As long as you're following a pattern for the most part. So that's all I do. Now, like I said, with the method I'm using here, it takes a little bit more accuracy to make it look just right, but you can go back over what you started with lighter tones and different colors and kind of overlap the strands. That's what I did here with Sharia's hair. Probably can't see it really good, but she does have more than one hair color. So I added like a few different tones of brown in there to give it like a thick look. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna stop there with her. I don't want to overboard it, but that's as far as I'm gonna go with her for now. Just wanted to show you guys what I do, and then I'll show you my other method with Siji here. Okay, so Siji doesn't have any baby hairs, and with her I'm gonna use a little bit different method. You gotta make sure that the tip of the pencil is quite sharp, and you don't have to wet it before you do this. And again, doing the same thing with the backward C's on one side and the C's on the other side. And I'll show you a little finishing touch trick that I use when I do it this way. This is the faster method and it is the easier method. So if you have some kind of like pencil like these, you might want to use this method as opposed to the paintbrush method. But I showed you the paintbrush method first because a lot of people who customize at home don't have pencils like this. So that's the method you would use if you were using acrylic paints or something to draw on your dolls with. Don't use markers because you're gonna ruin your dolls. I swear, don't use markers. And markers you can't erase. If you make mistakes, it's not gonna just come off easily like with this type of ink. This is meant for this type of artwork, so you can erase it if you don't like it. Okay, so with the pencil, I just basically drew on to the doll's head like I did previously, and you'll see that there are quite a few gaps when I do it this way. You can kind of see like her skin color underneath the hair. Some of you guys might not care about that, but for some reason it bothers me when I can see the scalp too much. So what I do is I just go back in and I'll draw a line where I'm filling in those gaps with my pencil so that it's not so noticeable. And like on this side it's a lot worse than the other side. So I'm just gonna go back in, and with this pencil it's kind of doesn't matter if you make mistakes because it's water based. So all you need to do is take like a wet Q-tip, just wet with water, and smudge off the parts that you don't like, and it will just go away. So you don't have to worry too much about making a lot of mistakes. And I normally probably do this twice. I do about 2 layers of strands, and if I feel like it, I'll just use a different color at the top, but I try to match each side so that the hair is stopping at the same place on both sides. Okay, So in her case, the strands here don't come down past her earlobe, so I'm going to leave it like that. But that's basically the finished look, and she doesn't have a part in her hair, but if you did have a part in your hair, then you might want to like part the hair, the baby hairs, lined up with that part like I did here with this doll. See, she's got a part right here, and so the baby hairs from this side go over to this angle, and then the ones starting from this part of the part go over to the other side, the way that they're facing. And it just makes it look more natural when you do it that way. But if your doll doesn't have a part, and you can pretty much put them in whatever direction you want. So that's my method. That's pretty much how I do it. And yeah, I'm not really good at demonstrating stuff on camera, so I know it looks a little bit sloppy, but you guys don't have to worry about doing it on camera, so y'all should be able to do it without, you know, making too many mistakes. But pretty much that's all I do. It's nothing complex. The simpler the better is how I look at it, because don't nobody got time to be doing all of this extra stuff when we're trying to style our dolls and like play with them or style them and animate them. Who has time for all of that? Sonata here, she's got baby hairs too. She's got it on both sides of her head, but you can't really see it underneath her bangs here, so I have to like lift her bangs, but you can see she's got baby hairs everywhere. Yep. So I like it. It looks really good on the ethnic dolls. I think you could probably do it on the lighter complexion dolls too, but I'm not certain if that's like a thing in those communities, wearing their baby hairs styled. But I know with black girls and Hispanic girls, absolutely it is a thing. Girls like gel and style their baby hairs in real life, so it's totally appropriate that our dolls would have that look as well. And some people just have natural baby hairs that just like they're very easy to see, because just their hair grows that way. So that's basically what we're duplicating, and it helps to make the forehead look smaller too. If your doll has a really wide forehead like Adney over here does, it helps to kind of camouflage that. So for those of you who are wondering, like, why on earth would I put baby hairs on my dolls? Well, this is the reason why a lot of people will do that, and it's a good way to personalize their looks. Alright, so I hope that answered some of your questions about how I do my baby hairs, and make sure you're following us on Instagram so you don't miss any of our live videos that we do every week, and all of our newest and latest posts that may inspire you to customize your own dolls a certain way. And that's also how we communicate with you guys fastest. So make sure you hit us up over there, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a dolly day.